Hey guys, welcome to Geekdom Movies. We got another episode of Marvel. This time, it's Honey, I Shrunk the Family into the Quantum Realm. And the ants!
Yeah.
That's exactly what it felt like. Did you guys ever see that movie in the 80s?
Yeah.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
It's a great movie.
I never saw it.
That's okay. It's very, very old. Alright guys, we got to see Ant-Man Quantumania. This time we're joined by Shannon, George, and Thor.
I mean, I look like Thor, but it's really Rob.
You wanted to say that line because of the movie?
Yeah.
It's like same body type.
Same body type.
Who are you? I'm the man who can give you the one thing you want. What's that? Time.
Yeah, so we just got out of Quantumania, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania to be exact. George, of course, saw it a couple of days ago, George, you said?
Yep, I saw it back on Friday.
Back on Friday. We just saw it today. We were a little late to the party. We had a few things going on this weekend, but this time I was joined by Shannon and Rob, and our good friend Brennan came too with us, which was fun to see him.
Fun.
Yeah. So I did see a lot of reviews before I saw this movie, so my expectations were really low because the Rotten Tomato scores I think is at like 40% right now. So I was like, oh man, like this is worse than Thor, and Thor was at like 60%. 60 something percent on Rotten Tomatoes. So I was like, oh man, like another disappointment. Surprisingly not. I really had a great time with this movie. I think a lot of people are complaining because, we did have those years from like 2014 to 2019 all the way to Endgame where every movie was like spectacular.
Oh, yeah.
Every movie was like hitting high notes. You had Infinity War. You had everything kind of leading up to that. And the reason I'm not harsh on this movie and why I enjoyed it is because Kevin Feige has said, look, we are building another arc like Thanos to go to, and we have to start small. Mm-hmm. So if you watch the Incredible Hulk, you watch the Marvels or Miss Marvel, I don't know what it was called, the Pakistani girl, Miss Marvel.
Yeah, Miss Marvel.
People are disappointed by. I'm like, guys, this is not that disappointing. Go back in your mind. I know it's been more than 10 years, but go watch Captain America 1, Thor 1, and the Incredible Hulk. They weren't that good of movies.
They were small movies.
They were small.
Yeah.
Movies that were kind of building towards something, which was going to be the Avengers. That's where we're at. That's where Ant-Man, that's where a lot of these movies are going right now. They're kind of WandaVision, Thor, Doctor Strange, another one that was kind of like did its own thing. Didn't really have like this big thing. These movies are more like closer to the character arcs of who these characters are. Mm-hmm. They're not trying to build a big universe of like everybody hopping in and out of their movies. They're just kind of doing their own thing. We had a little bit of Guardians of the Galaxy in Thor, but even then, it was a private, small movie about Thor and his journey into like who he wants to be and what he wants to do now. So for me going in, I was kind of like okay, just give me an Ant-Man movie that's fun. That's funny, that has good action, and a decent story. And I got all that. Like, by the way, can I just say Michelle Pfeiffer at 63? Holy crap. No plastic surgery. Nothing crazy.
There's got to be some plastic
No, she
surgery.
hasn't. They just did an interview with her. And she said, I just eat healthy and I exercise and I don't go out into the sun to get wrinkles. She's doing very simple things to keep her skin looking young and like her body looking young. I mean, it's not... Ant-Man is like, what's the actor's name was Ant-Man? Paul Rudd. He's like in his mid to late 50s now.
He looks really young. to the point where he's standing next to his daughter and I'm like, you look too young to have a daughter that age.
I know, he's 56. Looks good for his age. Michelle Pfeiffer looks great for his age. I don't like Wap's haircut. I don't know who was the person.
Yeah, that was a bad call.
That was a terrible call. But if my issue is the hair, I think we're doing okay.
Yeah.
I love Cassie, the actress, because we saw her in that movie that
the little tiny little things or beautiful little things or something.
Planes, little airplanes. It's the one George wanted us to see.
Map of tiny.
Map of tiny little things.
Yeah,
perfect
things.
Yeah, like I knew
movie.
After we watched that little movie,
she was gonna be a star.
Yeah,
she was amazing.
The slasher film, where
the one we saw Vince Vaughn,
which was hilarious.
Yeah,
which is serial killer bodies.
Yeah.
She was great in that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I liked everything. Okay, here's what I'll say. Very cool that you got to go into the quantum realm. They've been talking about the quantum realm for like 2 movies.
Yeah.
The whole universe and the build up to it and like what they did to make it was just very cool looking, very original, very fun.
Yeah.
Jonathan Majors has been he was gonna blow up anyway, but I feel like when we saw that TV show on HBO, it was with what was it called, George? We all saw it during the COVID.
TV show on HBO.
Oh,
Lovecraft.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I knew the moment I saw him in Lovecraft, that guy was gonna get
I recognized
some
him.
major roles because his name is Jonathan Majors. No, but like his build up to Kang from Loki. I know you guys haven't seen Loki ending, but like we knew something big was gonna happen. I loved
He's great in this role.
I loved every scene with Kang.
Yeah,
I thought Jonathan Majors is like a star, and I can't wait to see how he's the new Thanos coming. Like, you know, the big build up we're getting towards the Avengers movie. I cannot wait to see what they do with Jonathan Majors in the role of Kang and all the characters he's gonna be jumping around and playing, like and things like that. I love the action. I love the story. I had a great time. Again, like I think if you're not looking for Endgame, Infinity War, like big epic story here, like with all this stuff, I think you'll have a great time. I think I like it better than the first 2 Ant-Man movies. I thought the first 2 Ant-Man movies were just kind of like, they were fun, nothing memorable, nothing crazy. This one, I personally felt that they were great because of that reason and that reason alone. We got to see like a big build up to like the quantum realm. They've been talking about it for 2 movies. So that's why it's my favorite of the Ant-Man movies. But again, this is not top 10 Marvel movies for me. This is like probably somewhere in, I don't know. I don't even know how many movies there's been out, but they're not. Yeah, like I mean they're not top 10, but I had a fun time. That's all I was looking for. I had a fun time. The action was good. Jonathan Majors is of course going to be the build up. That is, he steals the movie for me. I liked Cassie. Michelle Pfeiffer was awesome. Bill Murray's cameo was ridiculous and funny, but that's what they were going for.
No.
Yeah. If you ever saw, did you guys ever see Osmosis Jones?
Oh yeah. I thought of this. I thought of that movie.
That's
That's
probably why he was in it, because the whole movie's about going like very tiny and all that stuff. So I thought that was a good job, Marvel. That's a good play. That was a good reference. A 20-plus-year-old movie reference that I did not see coming. Osmosis Jones was so good when I was a kid. Movie. Yeah. I had a fun time. Not golden popcorn, but just good time. It was a good popcorn. It's not cabin in Knock in the Cabin or Puss in Boots and like they were great. Look, those movies are like high level. Yeah,
those are like top 10 of the year ones.
Yeah.
This is a mid-tier.
Oh, you know what, Shannon? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is a mid-tier Marvel movie. I have seen Marvel movies that bored me to tears. And I've seen Marvel movies that blew me away. And this one is like in the top third, bottom third of the Marvel movies. It wasn't super boring. Like we just watched the first Ant-Man today, which was, it was entertaining enough, but I wasn't
the way they brought that stupid boss back. That villain from the first movie. Sorry.
Yeah, this one was so much more creative. And the whole time I was watching this movie, as soon as they entered the quantum realm, I went, oh my goodness, if they ever make a live-action Rick and Morty,
that's what I was gonna say.
Right? Were you?
I actually missed that. It is the writers of Rick. No, it is the writers of Rick and Morty.
Okay, it had to be.
Yeah, I actually forgot about that.
The entire time I was watching it, I'm thinking Rick and Morty.
This is all Rick and Morty. Yeah.
It's one of the writers for Rick and Morty did this movie because I think you just that's the only way to explain this movie. Right?
Okay, that makes perfect sense, and I'm not even surprised. But if they ever do a live action Rick and Morty,
I've never seen Rick and Morty.
What?
Is it that good?
Yes,
it is that good.
It's so good.
How have you missed it?
I saw the first episode, and this guy kept burping, and it annoyed the shit out of me.
But like you have to watch beyond that.
Okay, it goes so interesting.
I'm like, if that guy is the main actor, I'm already out. This guy is so annoying.
Well, he does burp less as the show goes on.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know.
But like,
Okay,
it's all
sorry.
part of his character.
Okay.
It's funny.
Watch Rick and Morty, Fahad. You're missing.
I
so
watched the
much.
first episode.
Oh, there's 5 seasons and they're all gold.
Okay.
But
They are.
anyway, I loved seeing the Rick and Morty writers like do their thing here. They did it super well. So the jokes that they wrote, you could tell because I was like on the floor laughing with the specific jokes that they wrote into this. Overall, I thought it was pretty good. I would recommend that anyone go see it. It was kind of like a fun for the whole family movie, and I think we got some good laughs out of it. Yeah.
All right. George or Rob, who wants to go next?
I'll go. For me, I agree with like the entire time I was watching it. At least the last half of the movie, I was thinking Rick and Morty.
Okay.
Nonstop.
I'm glad you guys have seen it because I would have not picked up any references.
I'm not a huge Rick and Morty person, but I could tell like this was like the same, like has the same feeling. It has the technology.
Really? Yeah.
And then it has the little one-line jokes, the dad jokes.
Okay.
And
the aliens, the weird worlds.
Yep.
Okay.
The creativity.
The science.
The colors.
For me, the first half of the movie was kind of a snooze fest, but at the same time, I was glad I watched it because it sets up the one-line punchlines for the last half of the movie when a lot of the jokes and the action
every movie
comes out.
builds towards
Right.
the ending.
Yeah,
So
but
yeah.
the first half, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so bad! Why did they do another Ant-Man?"
What? I was cracking up at like him writing the book and
In the first half,
yeah,
That's
like
the
him
first- I
reading his
agree.
own book to his daughter.
The first 10 minutes were great. I thought I was laughing my butt off the first 10 minutes.
because the feeling I had, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is gonna be like Fast and the Furious, where they write a great one and then it just goes downhill." And that was my feeling. But at the end, I was like, you know what? This is actually very entertaining. This is pretty good. I wouldn't give it a golden popcorn. I'm pretty much in the same boat as you. It was fun to watch. Not one that I'm dying to go see again.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Perfect.
Yeah. George?
I'd have to agree. This movie is mid-tier Marvel.
Yeah.
I like, for me, any movie I watch, and it's been very difficult with Marvel lately, I look for plot holes, and there were quite a few.
Really?
Oh, I'm sure I could find plot holes, but I just didn't
ignored-
care. Yeah.
I overlooked.
I was
I-
like, this is fun.
I wish I
Yeah.
couldn't,
I
but
wish I
but
could.
there was a scene, stuff happens.
Okay.
Oh, I'll be
So-
interested to hear your spoiler review now. Okay.
Mhm.
So, I gotta say though, like I was interested in Kang, like that was probably one of the most exciting aspects of going into this movie for me. Yeah, I'm honestly amazed how good Paul Rudd has kind of stayed true to the Ant-Man character
Yeah.
that he plays. Because like in some of the other films, you've seen like character progression and stuff,
Yeah.
and it doesn't necessarily feel like the same character if you go back and watch like their original movies. This, it really still felt like Ant-Man. Like he did a very good job of that.
I agree with that.
I would have to say, oh man, the oldest, I forgot like who the grandpa was.
Oh, Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas, yeah.
Hank Pym.
He did seem to be a little bit different, I'd have to say.
He's more
In character.
comic accurate
Okay.
because he's kind of a genius. If you guys haven't
Yeah.
seen What If, my favorite episode of What If is Hank Pym, where he kills all the Avengers because he's that smart. No, I'm not serious. Like he literally, like, there's a What If episode where Hank Pym is the bad guy and he wins. And it's awesome. He's a genius, and this movie really shows how much of a genius he really is. I won't go into spoilers until the end, but there's something that happens that Hank Pym figures out, which I thought was really, really good. So yeah, like I can see why you're saying he seems different. Like he was more like in the background. In this movie, it's like let's make Hank Pym who he truly is in this movie.
Well, didn't Back to the Future do something similar with their scientists?
I think so. Yeah.
Doc Brown?
Yeah,
Doc
Dr.
Brown.
Brown. They kind of they made him more genius as time went on.
I think so. You're right. I think so.
Yep.
Probably.
Other than that, I'd have to say this was a fun movie. It wasn't. This is a movie I normally probably wouldn't watch outside of theaters.
Yeah.
As strange as that might seem, I don't know. It's not one I would rewatch normally. I'd have to say, but it was still
like Captain America 1 or Thor 1. It's
you know, it's like it's interesting, but not like phenomenal.
Yeah. No, I think we're all on the same page with that. Yeah, we all had a good time. If you go see in theaters, you will have a good time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But because of Kang, I think it's worth seeing in theaters, and because of the Quantum Realm, it really kind of pushes over the edge of like something a lot more serious. That Ant-Man is not very used to. Ant-Man's not this serious, I feel like.
Yeah, he's kind of a comic relief character for the Avengers.
But they chose the right movie to kind of really introduce the big baddie in Ant-Man. It made sense. And it made sense because of Janet. And Michelle Pfeiffer's had a lot of... Because she comes at the very end of Ant-Man 2. Like, she kind of just pops in and says, "We rescued you from the Quantum Realm." And she doesn't really talk about what she did the last 30 years. She's like, "Oh, you saved me. I'm so glad I'm home with my, husband and daughter. I'm so happy I'm here." And that was it. And you're just like, okay, but like...
But what happened for the last
like, how did you
years?
survive 30 years in the Quantum Realm?
There's so much I want to talk about her in regards to spoilers.
All right, well, let's get into it. All right, guys, if you've seen it, if you have seen it, stick around. We're going into spoilers. If you haven't seen it, or you don't care about spoilers, you don't have to watch it. But if you do, I think you'll have a good time. And there's a lot to say about. I have more to say about this movie than I ever did about Ant-Man 1 and 2. I'll say that
definitely, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like Ant-Man 1 was like, oh yeah, it was fun. Okay. But all right. So going into spoilers, it's open ended. We're just gonna be going back and forth. It's very simple. We're just having a conversation here, so that's just how we do it. All right, who wants to start us off? George said he really wants to talk about something, so I guess maybe I'll throw it to first.
Yeah. So Michelle Pfeiffer's character, it irked me so bad when she went on and on. Like it was a very good choice for it, but it was just one of those things that like it irks you really terribly. How she went on and she's like basically refusing to tell them information about what's going on down there because they don't need to know or something like that.
I like that. It's the reason I say it because I remember talking to my wife's grandpa before he passed away. Early on, he didn't want to talk about the war. He had PTSD. He didn't want to relive it. He wants to just focus on his family and like what's happening now. He doesn't want to relive it.
You found the one guy who doesn't want to talk about the war stories?
Well, personally,
usually all old people want to talk about.
But personally,
that's funny.
That's the only person I know who fought. Yeah. He fought in World War II, and I'm sure he has tons of stories, but he never wanted to talk about it.
Sure.
And it made sense. I'm sure there's a lot of Vietnam veterans and World War II veterans and Iraqi veterans. I mean, the list goes on of people who don't want to talk about something that triggers your PTSD. So when Janet's like, "I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this," I'm like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." Like she doesn't want to relive that.
She killed trillions of people. She doesn't want to be like, "Hey, so glad to see you. By the way, I'm technically a murderer."
She did not.
But because of her, she was getting blamed for it in that universe. Like Bill Murray's character was blaming her for.
She didn't kill trillions. She killed people in the quantum realm. That's all. By running away, which at a certain point, it's like, Bill Murray, you also gave up. Why are you blaming her? You know what I'm saying? Like, aren't you the one who was trying to like, screw it. I don't want to be a freedom fighter terrorist.
I loved what he did with that. Like.
The drink?
The drink squid.
Oh,
my god.
That was funny. It was like, revenge is mine.
Turning it into a giant squid. See, that was a Rick and Morty joke.
It got all angry.
Yeah.
You can tell that was a Rick and Morty joke, right?
Like, yeah.
If you haven't tried these, don't.
It'll screw your mind. No, the first half of the movie, I think I loved it, is because it's just like a big acid trip. You know, just wild.
That's Rick and Morty.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Rick and Morty is like 100% like an acid trip the whole time.
Like when Paul Rudd says, what did he say? It's like, wait, your buildings are alive? Yours are dead? The response isn't, of course they're alive, or wait,
That
like,
was a Rick and Morty
no,
joke,
like
yeah.
it was like yours are dead. Like it's like wait, no, that's not what I'm not saying either. They're just not alive at all. Period.
Yours are dead.
I loved. Yeah, sorry, keep going. That's what I thought of Janet. Like
yeah,
PTSD.
those were amazing.
Okay.
That character. The character was so good.
Oh, he was the best.
I just kept calling him Flubber because that's what he reminded me.
He was the best thing. In this
But Brandon kept calling him Kirby.
Oh, yeah.
He did kind of look like Kirby.
I know.
Once he had a hole.
I didn't know he could do that.
that was so good.
Stop reading my mind. It's like stop thinking that. Stop thinking that. It's like you are thinking. It's like I'm sorry. I'm nervous, and just stop thinking it.
It's like I can read your mind. It's real weird too.
Oh yeah. What did you? Final thoughts on why didn't you like Janet? Sorry. Like I kind of got onto my own tangent.
I thought that was still like a really good representation also of like a parent that like doesn't want to reveal like
what she's
their past
done.
I don't
want to
talk about it. Just move on. They just have to move forward.
And it's like no, sometimes you need to like, especially if it's something that involves them, that's something they need to know.
It's a very boomer mindset.
Exactly.
Like,
it was very good.
We don't want to talk about this. We just need to move on and move forward.
We don't talk about Bruno.
We don't talk about Bruno.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I will say Jonathan Majors from Loki and this Jonathan Majors, what I'm really, really enjoying about Jonathan Majors is the Kang we met in Loki is nothing like this Loki. I mean, nothing like this Jonathan Majors Kang.
Yeah.
Because in you haven't seen Loki, you should totally finish it. Basically, Doctor Who. You watch all of time and you make sure time runs smoothly, and he explains why that's very important. Because if the multiverse will collapse, and it did collapse in Spider-Man, it did collapse in Doctor Strange too. You're watching the multiverse kind of like affecting other universes. That's not supposed to happen. Kang was the one who was in charge to make sure all of time is linear and all the universes are linear and they're working together. And then he tells Loki, the female Loki, like, there's two things you can do. You can either kill me, in which case another version of me comes and he's the conqueror. He's gonna basically kill everyone. Or you can take my seat and take over and watch over time. So Loki's like female Loki, she's like, nah, screw that. You messed up my life. Like, you're the reason like all of time is messed up. Like in my time, like she took it personally. Like her life was screwed up because of him, because he was trying to keep time linear and make everything make sense. So she just takes the knife and just kills Kang at the end of Loki 2. I mean, at the end of Loki, and then Loki, like our Loki, not the female Loki, says, you do realize what you've done. There's another version of now Kang coming, and he's gonna be basically a mass murderer, genocide, killing machine. And he left you with that line at the end of Loki, and then you see this Loki. I mean, sorry, in this
Kang.
This Kang. Oh my gosh, these names.
This Kang was the Kang he was talking about.
Yeah, and you totally see it in his eyes. That guy will do whatever he wants to get ahead and win. He doesn't care who he kills or how many trillions of lives die to get revenge, to basically be the conqueror. So now it's like, okay, so in Ant-Man now he's dead. Is he dead? I don't actually know. Even Ant-Man was confused. He's like,
I don't think he is.
I think we stopped him. Did we stop him? You know, he's like questioning everything about what's going on. Oh my god, it's so good. And it just kind of like, okay.
That's why. Oh, sorry. That's why the after credit scene, the after credit scene is so important.
Very last one. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that was.
You guys should totally watch Loki.
That was a direct. Basically,
Loki,
that was like directly from Loki kind of thing. Where they directly referenced Loki and everything that happened there, and they were like, I'm kind of wondering in that scene actually if that's basically him and
Owen Wilson.
I
love his
somehow
line.
Escape. Like if he broke Owen Wilson out, and then somehow they ended up kind of like jumping through different timelines.
Well, I think Loki's trying to fix what Sylvia did. Because Sylvia basically screwed everything up. She was like, nope, I want revenge. I choose death. I choose revenge.
That makes me wonder, is that an earlier version of Kang, the Conqueror then?
Yes. That was
what that was.
That was the first Kang, I think, of all the Kangs that we saw at the end of the... Because, you know, Owen Wilson's like, what? He's not so bad. you made him
He's
sound
like,
like
no.
he was terrible.
That's a good Owen Wilson
Sorry.
impression.
But yeah.
That's
Wow.
terrible. Wow.
Wow.
Wow, Loki. Wow.
But yeah.
I just wanted my sea-doo. Sorry, there's a bunch of jokes at the end of Loki that I gotta think about Owen Wilson now. Okay, so
all right.
you're right. Sorry, I just needed to do that stupid impression for everybody's probably like, and we're done watching this review. This guy's stupid.
Like and subscribe.
I do think that once okay, so we do know when Sylvia, the female Loki, kills Kang, we do know that Loki, when he walks into the time people, whatever they call Minutemen, Time Men, something like that.
I can't remember.
Something like that. He says to Owen Wilson, Owen's like, "Who are you? I don't even know who you are." It's like, wait, what? What do you mean you don't know who I am? We just like literally became best friends and went on this crazy adventure. But like Kang made sure like Loki doesn't even exist in a way. Like nobody knows who Loki is. So I think what's happening is Loki is going to Owen Wilson being like, "Look, we did all this. This happened." Like he's kind of like taking in Owen Wilson's character to be like, we gotta fix time. And I think that's what it's alluding to with Owen Wilson at the end, which will be very fascinating to see what they talk about. Do they even know what just happened in Ant-Man Quantum Realm? Because if they're time travelers, they have no idea Quantum Realm even exists.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How does time work in the quantum realm?
It doesn't.
It just stops?
It sounds like...
Or is it like Narnia rules where you have no idea what's going to happen when you come back out on the other side?
Narnia rules.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Because I do remember Janet saying in the last movie, well, I've been down there for 5 years. It's like, no, you haven't. I've been down there for 30 years. It's like, no, you've been down there for 5 years.
So it's plot convenience. Whatever works for the movie.
Well, it's also Ant-Man Quantum Realm plot, because in the 1960s and 70s, when Ant-Man did go to the Quantum Realm, and he was stuck there for a while, he thought he went down there for like 2-3 years, and it was like, no, you've been gone for like a month.
Okay.
So when he pops back out, I was like, no, I've been down there for 3 years, man, 3 to 5 years. I was like, no, you've been only gone a month.
It's like